I want to retain all rights. I don't want to waive any rights.
And that's not really how it works.
Welcome back to our series on the corruption in Rockingham County and the unjust treatment of Mike Nelson. In today's video, we'll dive into the details of the district court bench trial that took place on October 23, 2020. If you haven't watched our previous episodes, I recommend checking those out first to get the full context of Mike Nelson's case. Today, we focus on the significant events that occurred during the bench trial on October 23, 2020. Let's get started. The day started with Mike Nelson arriving at the courthouse with his designated assistant, Aaron. As they attempted to enter the building, deputies physically intervened, placing hands on Aaron. This was just the beginning of a series of hostile actions against Mike. Despite a judge's order allowing Mike to use his white cane, hat, and glasses inside the courthouse, the guards demanded he surrender these items at the security point. When Mike tried to clarify, the guards became angry, threatening to send Mike to the back of the line. Under duress and fearing they would force him to miss his hearing again and then throw him back in a cage, Mike complied with their demands. Finally, Mike began to pass through the metal detector. As he walked forward, Captain Bullens grabbed and pulled on Mike's white cane. Mike firmly told Bullens to stop, and after hesitation, Bullens let go. Inside the courtroom, Mike faced even more challenges. Forced to appear without the assistive technology he relies on daily to mitigate his disabilities, Mike was denied equal access, making due process impossible. In a last-ditch effort to level the playing field and highlight his challenges, Mike produced blindfolds he had brought into the courtroom and requested that all participants wear one. His argument was simple: if the judge believed visual information was unnecessary for Mike, then removing visual information from everyone present should not be a problem. As anticipated, the judge disregarded this request, proceeding without making any accommodations to ensure Mike had equal access to the court proceedings, thereby denying him due process and making the discrimination clear and apparent. The trial commenced with the prosecution charging Mike with resisting an officer. Graham Holt, Mike's defense attorney, entered a plea of not guilty. The first witness called by the prosecution was Officer Keith Benfield. Officer Benfield's testimony was fraught with inconsistencies. He described a suspicious van, claimed there were nearby crimes, and said that Mike was uncooperative and repeatedly mentioned the ADA. However, during cross-examination, these claims began to unravel. Under cross-examination, Benfield admitted that his initial testimony about the van moving 40-50 yards was incorrect. The dashcam video showed the van moved only a few inches. Furthermore, Benfield's testimony demonstrated he held a prejudice against Mike. The prosecution then introduced a contested video as evidence. Despite objections about its authenticity, the judge allowed it. The next witness, Kyle Ray, had no prior contact with Mike Nelson but testified about seeing the van and reporting it to the police. On cross-examination, Ray admitted to having no knowledge of any crime being committed that night. Officer Clayton Doss testified next, reiterating the narrative of suspicion but conceding that no crimes were observed. His testimony highlighted the baseless nature of the charges against Mike. Despite the lack of evidence, the judge denied a motion to dismiss the case. He delivered a guilty verdict without addressing the factual inconsistencies or legal arguments presented by the defense. The sentencing was equally unjust. Mike was given 12 months of supervised probation, 10 days of community service, and was ordered to write an apology letter to the officers involved. This was despite having already been subjected to over 14 days of unlawful detention and mistreatment. Even at the probation office, Mike faced difficulties. His aider requests to read documents were initially denied, and he was threatened with contempt for insisting on his right to understand the paperwork he was required to sign. Mike later appealed this verdict. This trial was a glaring example of the systemic corruption and bias within the Rockingham County judicial system. Mike Nelson was not only denied a fair trial, but was subjected to continuous harassment and discrimination. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on future episodes.
Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. Deo presso, liber.